All right. Well, thanks so much for having me here, and it's great to see everyone, both in person at the library there and also on Zoom. And we're going to talk about contesting this evening. So let me see here if I can share my screen.
Yep, we see it.
All right.
Well, we saw it.
I got to do one more thing to get it to go. Here we go. Hopefully you see it now.
Yep, we do.
Okay, good. So let's talk about contesting, and was brought up during the meeting. These weekend activities are really a lot of fun, and you can. It doesn't matter what size of a station you have, whether you've got maybe just an end-fed wire or a vertical, or if you've got a big, a big stack of Yagis. It is still, there's a lot of things that are fun about contests because it's high activity, and that's really the idea. And so some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight are, how to win a contest, the variety of contest types, the object, and etc. So lots of fun stuff that goes on during the weekends, and there are also contests during the week as well. And so most of us are the casual contesters. They just, we want to get on the air, have some fun, maybe improve your operating skills. This is a great opportunity to work new counties, states, countries, and but then there's the more serious contesters as well, that are part of a club like the Yankee Clipper Contest Club, and then there are the over-the-top guys that really, they stay up to whole 48 hours and do the whole thing. But as I mentioned, the benefits of contesting is that it's fun. It does improve your operating skills. There's no question about it. When it comes to, some of these emergency nets and so forth, the contesters are the best because they really have honed the skill of copying everything correctly. And one of the things that contests do is that it uses our spectrum, and it's really important that we get on the air and use our spectrum. There are plenty of big gun contest stations. New Hampshire's got lots of them, and they have lots of towers, and so you can a lot of times just find somebody who's got a station that is bigger than maybe what you have, and you can do some guest operating. So how do you win a contest? Well, you work a lot of stations. You work every station that you hear. And multipliers are important. Multipliers can be zones, they can be counties, they can be countries. And you have to make good band change decisions too, because you want to be on the bands that are open, and that way you're working people. You want to make sure that you have efficient operating techniques. You don't want to waste time, and it's important to know the difference between running and search and pouncing. Running is calling CQ. That is the chance to get the most contacts, really, is when you're calling CQ, you're going to work more people than just searching and pouncing, which is, moving up and down the band. And it's important to know when to take a break. So when you're getting started, the best thing to do is to listen to the other good contesters. And fortunately, New Hampshire has lots of really good contesters. And so you can listen to them And after a while, you'll figure it out, because K3LR and K3DG and K3RX and all these guys know how to do it right. On CW, the idea is to not have anything in the sequence that wastes time, or even on phone as well. On phone, thanks Victor Papa 5 Kilo versus thank you QRZ contest. This is Victor Papa 5 Kilo. You can see by just shortening that up, it can save enough time that you can work hundreds of more QSOs. So it's important to cut down the amount of things that you're saying, whether it's on CW or phone, to preserve time. There are many different types of contests. Some of them are single mode, some are multi-mode. In the case of the DX contests, the ARL and CQ Worldwide are all they're big contests, but they have SSB, CW, and RTTY weekends, and really the real fun contests are the state QSO parties, and there's lots of them, and that's a good way to get started in contesting as well. As was talked about during the meeting, every weekend there are at least one and probably as many as 15 different contests that are going on. So contestcalendar.com or the arl.org will give you the list, and you can get involved, whether it be VHF, whether it be HF. There's always lots of activity going on. So, you can enter these things as single operator. You can, in some cases, you can use packet assistance. You can compete with others on power. So maybe you run 5 watts in the QRP category, or 100 watts in low power, and then up to 5 or 1500 watts in high power. And single band or single mode in some contests, as well as inviting others over to your house, maybe to do a multi-op single transmitter, or even a multi-op multi-transmitter. So as we talked about, most of the contests are on the weekends, but there are contests that are on the air during the week. Some of these contests are as short as 4 hours. There are lots of these contests that are 48 hours, typically running from 0 Zulu on Friday to 0 Zulu on Sunday. And Contest Calendar by WA7BNM is the place to go. The ARL has a great newsletter, the ARL Contest Update, and that goes to over 100,000 people every 2 weeks, and it really can keep you up to date with what's going on in contesting. Also, website contesting.com and ncjweb.com is a great resource as well. Best places to start: field day. That's where a lot of us got started. Field day is a great place to get started for contesting. Straight key night, and then the state QSO parties are really, really good. So what do you need? You need a radio and antennas, logging system. Most of it, N1MM, of course, is very close to you up there, and it's great because it's free, and it is the most popular contest software for logging. But you still can do it on paper and pencil as well. And you can interface N1MM and other logging software packages with your radio, and the automation makes it a little more fun. You can do point and shoot, trigger transmitted exchanges, etc. So after the contest, most of the time now, we don't mail in our logs. It's all email or a web interface with the Cabrillo file. And also want to post scores on 3830scores.com. And that's a nice place to have the unofficial scores, but you want to send them into either the RRL or CQ or the state QSO party. What can you win? Well, most of the time it's certificates, sometimes trophies, plaques. There are some contests that have even, there's wine available in the California QSO party. So, but at the end of the day, it's the awe and respect of your fellow competitors. So that's really what it's all about. And we talked about the Yankee Clipper Contest Club. That's really good local help. My local contest club is North Coast. There's Yankee Clipper, and there's all sorts of informal groups on the reflectors on the internet to help you as well. And that is my presentation, and if there's any questions, I'm certainly here and can take those.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Tim. Does anyone have any questions for Tim? I do have a question in the back, so bear with me while I traverse the room here.
Tim, thanks for joining us tonight. Great to have you. This is Dennis, N1IMW.
Hi, Dennis.
So last time you and I talked was at WRTC 2014 down in Southeastern Mass. I was the site captain for the winning pair of operators. And so what I'm wondering is when you're going to talk Doug Grant into doing it all over again. And oh, now wait a minute. And then question 2 is, what's the best contesting station you ever operated?
The best contest station I've ever operated is right here, K3LR. 11 operating positions, and we've done phenomenal from here. And in fact, Doug will be here in March to operate the ARL DX contest with us. But he worked for 4 years solid to put that deal together in 2014, and I think he's paid his dues. So I think he's done.
Oh, we'd certainly like to see it in New England again someday. Very good. So here's a question I've heard others ask in the past. So you casually participate in a contest. Are you required to send a contest log in?
No. If you get on in a contest and you make QSOs and you do not send in the log, the contest sponsor will not take away those contacts from the stations that do send in the logs. So there's no worries there, but it's always nice, no matter how small the log is, it's always nice to send it in.
Yep, no, I agree. It certainly lets the contest organizers know that people are participating. But I know I've chatted with some folks in the past, and they'll hear a contest, they won't make any contacts because they're not sure where the log should go or something like that. So
Right.
So that is certainly good information. If you hear a contest, certainly feel free to give out some points to the people who are contesting, and you don't have to worry about any after stuff about that.
Right, dive in.
Yep. I have another question here, so bear with me. I'm gonna put this here and go ahead.
Excellent presentation. My name's Eric N1JUR. How much does ergonomics play into your, contest station? Obviously, you've got all of the great technical, components set up in the back there for your operating, but how much in terms of ergonomics and operating, your station for X number of period of hours, do you consider, or do you consider that at all? I'm always curious to see how people consider that.
Yeah, ergonomics are very important. I mean, even the height of the desk is important. And I did a lot of research into that before I built these desks here. And but even the radio itself, the ergonomics of the radio are very important. And that's one of the big factors, because you're sitting for hours in front of the radio. So you want things to be as efficient as possible. And ergonomics really do matter.
Yeah, very good. We have another question. Go ahead.
And then kind of a follow-up, but you had mentioned obviously doing, a guest appearance on as a guest op at someone else's contest station. How do you get over that initial fear of not being in front of a radio that you're not familiar with? Is there any tips or anything that you recommend?
Well, that you get there ahead of time. And the great thing today is YouTube. Every radio has been demonstrated on YouTube. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and take, some time and just watch a few YouTube videos, and you'll be right up to speed with that radio.
Yep. And I actually have a question, although I just I had it and I lost it. It'll come back to me. It says well, actually, oh yeah, I know what it was about. So I was wondering what your opinions and feelings are about remote ops during operating, and I'm curious if K3LR is set up to have remote operators, or do you have to physically be at one of the 11 operating stations?
Yeah, so K3LR is not set up for remote, but the remote operating is very popular, and it is becoming more of a mainstay. So you're going to see more and more of remote operations going on, but we're not set up for that here.
And just your personal opinion, are you pro or against the idea of remote ops operating in a contest? Do you personally think people should actually be at the station, or do you think it doesn't necessarily matter?
Well, as far as K3LR is concerned, the real fun is everybody being here. If this place was operating all remote, I mean, we have dinners together, we have breakfast together. I mean, it's the camaraderie in a multi that is really the magic. So I'm okay with remote operating, but it's just not what we do here.
No, I understood, but I didn't know if you thought that might have been some sort of a, potentially an unfair advantage to get an out of area operator operating at your multi, if you will.
No, I think the advantage is having everybody here.
No, I agree. So actually, just out of curiosity, has anyone here besides myself worked at a multi contest station or on Zoom? No, because I'll agree with Tim. So I've done it twice. Once for a VHF contest for KW1AM, I believe was the call, and I've operated once at K1TTT.
Oh, good.
Not in New Hampshire, but not too far away down in Western Mass.
Oh, Dave's a great guy.
Oh yeah, no, it was a blast, and I know that he is certainly set up for remote contest operating.
Yes,
which I have not had the opportunity to do yet. But that's why one of the reasons why I was curious on what your thoughts were. I know some people are very opposed to anything remote, just generally speaking with ham radio. If it isn't all wireless, that's why I just curious. But I will agree with you that spending a weekend, and you learn to know, you have to almost kind of you do have to like the people that you're contesting with.
that's right.
I used to do a lot of VHF rovering back early when I was doing ham radio stuff, and so me and another ham would be in a pickup truck driving all over New England, activating about 6 to 8 or so grids, and after 48 hours in a vehicle with someone in a competition, it can wear on you. You gotta you gotta have a strong friendship with the person, I think. But at a multi, like I said, it is really fun because the multis I've operated at, you're not operating all the time. There's a group of folks and operators are kind of somewhat going in and out. And like you mentioned, there's the maybe the big pot of chili that someone made, or some adult beverages, or whichever. So excellent. I have another question in the back, so if you'll just bear with me while I actually, looks like he's coming up front. That's okay.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Not to move the camera or anything.
Beautiful.
All right, Tim, we're back to the station question again. So my friend Steve Davis back here is looking you up. He's got everything about your station listed, and I don't know why it is. I don't know anybody else with 12 ICOM 7851s. So could you tell us what's special about ICOM 7851?
It is by far the best radio I've ever used. and the operators love them. So yeah, but we could have any radio here we want. And that radio is the best. Doesn't fail, and the ergonomics are fantastic.
So the ergonomics, and yeah, so Dennis was sort of asking why, but I think you kind of answered it as the ergonomic was certainly one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can probably get them at an okay price. Being involved with DX Engineering, I know there's not a big markup on radios.
No, there's not a big markup.
It's microphones, right? You want to sell microphones and
That's
cables. We have another question. Okay, well, actually, Tom, you can come up too if you have a question. We can set you in queue.
So just one last question. When you're not contesting, what are you doing in ham radio besides obviously, DX Engineering?
That's what I'm doing, is DX Engineering. I do not have another hobby. This is the only hobby I've had for the last 52 years, and I'm proud of it. And I can't imagine doing anything else other than ham radio. And the fact that I get to run one of the best ham radio companies in the world for a job, geez, pinch me. This is pretty good. So, but no, I don't do anything else but ham radio.
Well, yeah, it's actually more of a comment. How well do you know Paul Sergi, NO8D?
Well, how well do you think I would know him?
I would think quite well. So that's why I wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, I've known him very well for 35 years.
Yeah, the founder of DX Engineering. Well, I knew him from a period of 1950 to 1960. We were young kids, well, teenagers, when we had to part company, unfortunately, because my dad was killed in a boating accident and we moved away.
Ooh.
However, down in South Jersey, that's, not the point. Down in South Jersey, he lived on a big farm. We had a gentleman's farm. My dad wasn't really a farmer, but he knew a lot about farming. Anyhow, Paul and I used to send code with flashlights around 1954 across the big cornfield, or actually that was a tomato field. The corn would have been too high. Tomatoes for Campbell's Soup in Camden, New Jersey. Okay.
Mhm.
And then later on, because we had a radio club in the high school I went to, I got into ham radio as a freshman in high school at age 14. And Paul would do field day with our club, but Paul went to a private school or parochial school.
Mhm.
So he didn't have the benefit of the radio club. Okay. And it was very interesting to find out many years later, because I'd kind of lost contact. My mother kept in contact with his mother, who lived till about 2014, I believe. She lived a long life.
Long life, yes.
But anyhow, and his dad was one of three brothers that had a lot of farmland, and eventually they got pushed out by housing developments and so forth. But a long story. But yeah, say hello to Paul for me. I was W2MEO originally. I had a reissued call just before they started the WA2 calls. So they got to the end of the Ks, and I wound up with a W2 call, and it was kind of neat. But we had a lot of fun together. He had an AR3, and I forget what he had. He got his license after I did, actually, and he, like I say, he came to our field day in 58 and 59,
Mhm.
and cool stuff. But multi-ops, one multi-op at my house up here in Bedford, New Hampshire, some years ago, and we set a record. It was a VHF contest, but those are the ones I like: VHF, UHF. I became a microwave engineer, and I can give most of the credit to ham radio. So thank you for doing this, though. This is a great group we have in this club here, and we really appreciate this.
Thanks so much.
Yep, thank you, Tom. And yeah, and I did our membership quarter, I did a quick count. It looks like we have 46 between that are physically here and online total. So it's almost half. So that's a pretty good, or no,
That's
more than
good.
half really. So that's certainly good turnout for the meeting. And actually, so I have a, oh, go ahead.
Just two things. One,
Sure.
I have a question. Then Jack NF1 Lima has a question. So I saw him raising his hand. If Jack, you want to go ahead?
Tim, my last name is Duffy, and my father is from Newcastle, and I'm wondering if we might be related. Thank you.
I don't think so. My father was from Sharon, but I think I know enough about all the backgrounds here that I don't think we're related, unfortunately.
Well, that ruined my story.
And go ahead with your question, Ryan.
Tim, I was just curious on someone setting up their shack for the first time, gearing towards contesting. Eric had asked you about ergonomics, but I've been at one big contest station in New Hampshire where he allocates for the radio being 3.5 inches above the desk to allow the keyboard to slide under, and you're sitting at the chair. And I'm just curious, Aaron, if you have the capability with your camera there or whatnot, but whether you can give a little quick tour, or if you just have some tips on setting up a shack for a contesting.
Yeah, the way the camera is here, it doesn't lend itself well to that. But I can tell you, Ryan, that I have a slide deck on the K3LR station that is really good, and we certainly everybody at the club can work with Terry KDMNJ, who set this meeting up, and I can come back on and go through that. And that slide deck will it'll knock your socks off, because I talk about all the intricacies of setting up the station here.
Awesome. Perhaps we'll try to schedule something
Yes.
in the future. That'd be awesome, because the introduction is certainly a great thing, but to see an actual set up in the wise is,
That's it.
Yep.
It's really good.
So I'll certainly I'll stay in contact with her, and we'll definitely schedule something for the future for that. I think that'd be very handy, because I'm sure just even if you're not a contester, some general station layout stuff people can take away from that. So
yep.
Very good. Do we have any other questions for Tim this evening? I am not seeing any. So again, Tim, I'd like to thank you very much for taking time for the presentation this evening. And it was a very good one, and we certainly enjoyed it. And hopefully we can do it again in the future.
It sounds great. And thanks so much for the invitation. And to those of you who are DX Engineering customers, thank you so much for your business, your trust. And now you know the CEO. If you have a problem, you can email me and I'll take care of you. And to those of you who are not DX Engineering customers, give us a shot. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how well it goes. DX Engineering and Summit Racing run under the same tent, and we're very proud of the two great hobbies together. So again, thanks so much and wishing the club all the best for 2023.
Very good. Thank you again, Tim.
All right, 73, I'm gonna go off
Number three,
to
Tim.
another meeting.